Welcome back to Whiteout Weekly on our third glorious victory week as Kent State got in and out of Beaver Stadium in a golden flash. Little dad joke for you, as they looked like the Toon Stars bench, quite literally, in Space Jam when the Monstars start the game and are absolutely destroying them. Spoiler alert, Michael Jordan does win it in the end for them.
Mm.
Their starting quarterback, Cargman, second play of the game. Uh, do you know the injury?
Yeah, he required hip surgery. So
He's out for the season.
only got to see that glorious lettuce for two whole snaps.
I was a little upset about that. I wanted to see that let us flow a little bit more. Their backup quarterback also injured and out for the season. JD Sherrod, he played most of the game.
Mhm.
Tore his Achilles, unfortunately, out for the year. And their third string, Tommy Ulatowski, is now the starter for their MAC opener. So we put a scoreboard beatdown and a physical beatdown on them, as yet, like I said, they are looking like the Toon Squad bench.
Mm.
Heading back to Kent State. Shout out to Tom Allen for a shutout as Penn State's defensive coordinator. Shout out the big Zamboni. Eight different players scored a touchdown. I don't know if that's a record. Is it?
It's
Has
gotta
to.
be.
Has
Gotta
to. You can't have 9 or 10. And the actual huge record breaker, 718 total yards of offense, over 400 passing yards, over 300 rushing yards. That record stood for 98 years, Dave. And it's 1926. Is that math right?
98. Yeah.
There
Math
you
is
go.
hard, but you nailed it, buddy.
I always do to 2000, then just
Mm.
add. For some reason, 2000 just is always the mark backwards, whatever. So 1926 is when Penn State ran for 711 yards against the Susquehanna Riverhawks, historically leaky defense.
Mm.
They won that game 82 to nothing in front of 3,500 people at New Beaver Field. They played most of their games at Franklin Field back then,
Mhm.
Billy. Also, not a lot of people talking about it. New school record for first downs in a game with 40, breaking the 1962 record of 38 in a win over West Virginia, we believe this year. So a lot of common similarities, a lot of good stuff to talk about, but one unfortunate thing for the team and especially for us because he's one of our favorite up and coming players. Cam Wallace got some reps like we expected, but went down with an injury. Do you have any more on that? Because I know you got the inside scoop.
Yeah, nothing new to report. Franklin had his media availability today. Did not comment on that injury. So nothing more to give there. And like you said, it hate to see that. It was definitely a game where he was going to be able to get some shine, get a lot more opportunity than he has. And you saw it again early and often when he was in there getting the ball. He had Cam Wallace has that juice, but definitely what looked like an unfortunate injury. His leg, ankle got caught up behind him. Did love to see the teammate support. I think it was Hakeem Beamon and Amin Vanover
That was
running out
great.
to help
That
him get carried off the field, but did
was a
not
great
look
scene.
good. And the fact that Franklin's not commenting on it still, usually he at least comments whether it's he'll be back or a long-term injury. Looked like something that could be long-term, but hoping for the best for Cam.
Terrible injury. Great, great reaction from the team. But yeah, that did look like a leg injury, and it looks like he'll be Done for the season. Hope the best in his recovery, come back better
Mhm.
and stronger than ever. He did finish with 9 carries for 39 yards and a touchdown. So I I mean, I was gonna say he was my most impressive underclassman just because so many guys got reps, but who would you say impressed you as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think this was obviously based on the score you would expect it, but it was a great opportunity to see a lot of guys get some burn, a lot of underclassmen. I think one that really shined for me was true freshman linebacker Anthony Specca, who came in the Mike linebacker role. So when he came in, he was getting the commands from Tom Allen. So love to see that from a true freshman.
Green dot.
Green dot. So beholder of all the communication, but
Love that.
he ended up leading the team in tackles in this one. So led the team with 5 total tackles. Another injury note from this one, just to keep tabs on as we move forward into this week and beyond. Dom DeLuca did get a little banged up, who would typically be sliding into that role. So this could be an opportunity for Specca to get a little bit more run and gain a little bit more confidence from the staff. But I thought he came in and he played really well.
Yeah, I saw Dom's snaps were so low, and I thought that was just because, you know, they got him out early, but and
Hmm.
something was bothering him. But I guess, yeah, geez, he got injured. That's not good. He's a key component to
Hmm.
special teams, defense, locker room, pretty much everything that runs through Penn State. But makes sense because I'm going with number 24, Tamir Robinson, also a linebacker, redshirt freshman. In 17 snaps. Like we said, a lot of underclassmen got some snaps. Like Jevon Williams had, I think, 8 snaps. Cooper Cousins got his reps.
Hmm.
Alex Birchmeyer got his reps. But Tamir, in 17 snaps, he had 3 tackles and 2 run stops. And towards the end of the game, you're kind of not really paying attention as it's a blowout. I just saw 24 flying across the field every time ball because I was kind of hoping that we would continue the shutout, and he was just
Yeah.
absolutely flying every time in the last 2 drives, 3 drives, I think he was in.
Hmm.
And then also got to shout out Luke Reynolds for that absolutely incredible catch. And I love how after he caught it, falls to the ground, and then just like because he doesn't know if it's a fumbler or not, just starts like bear crawling around it, just to like immediately pounce on it if he has to.
Football guy.
So that will do it for the non-conference play. Penn State survives 3-0. One against West Virginia, 2 MAC opponents, one a little closer than we expected against Bowling Green, and now we head into the gauntlet, aka Big Ten play. And Davy Boy, we start with the top 25 clash.
Hmm.
Number 9, Penn State, 3-0, as we said, hosts 4-0. Number 19, the Illinois Fighting Illini, they're 4-0. Game is on NBC at 7:30. So I did not check the line before we started recording, but last time I saw it was up to 18 on the dot. Do you see the same thing?
Yeah, I've even seen it move up to as high as 19.
Geez, we gotta check that real quick. We are recording this on a Wednesday, as we do. So anytime we lose a game by zero point 0.5 or a point and the line moves, that's always the worst. It's 18 right now on DraftKings. Over under is 48 on the dot. So we're taking that as
Hmm.
the official line. Just some historical betting tidbits since 1997. Penn State's 9-2 straight up against Illinois, but only 2-9 against the spread when they host Illinois. And 6 of the last 9 games have gone under. including that 9 overtime game, which still has not ended,
Mhm.
but did finish at 38 points total. And that was a full touchdown behind the actual over under of 45. So a lot of defense in these matchups as Brett Bielema brings his stout defense, fourth year at Illinois. He's just one of those guys that can fire up a team whenever
Mhm.
they need to. Night game at Penn State, a little tougher. I think that's built definitely into the spread. I think it would be around 2 touchdowns, but because it's at night, I think they're giving Penn State a little extra juice there.
Mhm.
But his offense is led by Luke Altmaier, the junior transfer from Ole Miss, who's playing very, very well, very safe, completing 71% of his passes, 10 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. That's got to change.
Mhm.
At running back, they got sophomore Caden Fagan, who's getting into his groove a little more as the season progresses. Also, Josh McCray, who rushed for 142 yards as a true freshman in the 2021 upset against Penn State. So we got to watch out for those two. But Dave, more importantly, I think this is besides Ohio State. Maryland really only has Ty Felton. This might be the best wide receiver tandem in the Big Ten. Would you agree? Or am I exaggerating there?
No, I think both guys, and if you look at you're just a stat sheet watcher. I mean, between Zachary Franklin and Pat Bryant, they're really they are the two options. Both of them with 20 plus catches, and next closest, I believe, is five, maybe six, but definitely six and lower. So
Six, yes,
they're
five.
the two guys that
Yeah.
are getting the ball, and over the course of this season thus far, I mean, at least one of them has been getting open consistently. You got Zachary Franklin, who's a sixth year, so he's been around the block, started off his career at UTSA, made his way over to Ole Miss, wasn't really a great fit, didn't really get a great opportunity last year, and has really started to find his groove here with Illinois. But he is the NCAA's active leader in receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns. So he's a proven commodity. And then you got Pat Bryant, who on the other side has just been very, very efficient. He's a very sneaky route runner. I believe he had 2 touchdowns in that Nebraska game,
Mm-hmm.
and both guys have just proven that they can get open, and if one's covered, the other's free reign and getting the ball. So it's definitely going to be a difficult task for the Penn State corners. But yeah, they're two guys who could be number one targets on pretty close to any Big Ten team.
Yeah, so Zachary Franklin's it's his 6th year, so he's 24, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or no, 19, maybe 25, depending.
24, 25.
Um, but yeah, it's similar to last week where there's two main targets, but totally unsimilar in that the targets are insanely good.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, as we said, Franklin, 6th year, he has the most targets with 29, no touchdowns on the year, surprisingly. And then Pat Bryant, the coaches have been raving about this guy all off season, saying that he's taken the next step, and his stats and his play on the field really prove it. 24 targets, 20 catches, 309 yards, 6 touchdowns on the year, only one drop. And then he has contested catches 4 out of 4. So
Mm-hmm.
he has a 158.3 passer rating when he's targeted. And then another guy I want to look out for is Tanner Aiken, their tight end, or Tanner Arkin, excuse me,
Mm-hmm.
their tight end, who didn't really do much the first 3 games for them. more of a blocker, but did show up big time against Nebraska in that overtime win. He had 4 catches, 28 yards, and a touchdown. So just another weapon to look out for them. In terms of their offensive line, they haven't really allowed that many sacks. Not too leaky on the offensive line. 7 sacks allowed. I guess that's a little bit leaky. 7 sacks allowed in 4 games. The guy I'm looking at is right tackle Melvin Priestley, a transfer from Grambling. I think he's a guy that could be taken advantage of. Um, so a lot of double teams on Devon J. Thomas last week,
Mm-hmm.
leaving Zane Durant wide open. The one play where Carvin got injured, they doubled Devon, and then the right tackle, for whatever reason, he didn't know what he was supposed to do, doubled Zane, and that just left Deny one-on-one with the tight end. And Cargman had to get carted off the field because of that. So I'm looking to them for Tony Allen to continue his hot streak, put pressure on that right side, especially against Melvin Priestley, who's kind of struggling this year.
Mm-hmm.
On to the defense. Obviously, Brett Bielema, we got a sound defense. The one player I kept hearing his name over and over and over again on Friday was Seth Coleman, aka the Contain Master. He has a huge responsibility in this game against the run, as Penn State, I'm sure, is going to look to get Nick Singleton and Kaytron Allen going early and often, and Seth Coleman's going to have to set that edge. So not only is he super important against the run in containment, but he sets up 2 of Illinois' leading sack totals on the year. Gabe Jacobs, the edge rusher, and big old Dennis Briggs Jr. on that D line. Anyone else on, and by the way, they have 10 sacks on the season, which is pretty incredible. Giving
Mm-hmm.
up 7, but that's pretty good. Anyone else on the front 7 that we should be aware of that could cause some havoc in this game?
Yeah, I mean, I think you mentioned a couple of the key players. They also got Rozic or Rose, another stellar linebacker play. I think he's second on the team in tackles. So this it's definitely a strong defensive 7. It's not as formidable as we've seen in the past, or even if you look back to last time these two teams matched up, rather, where you had Newton, who was Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year, or last year rather. So you had Newton, and then
That's where I was scared of the most. Newton
yeah,
taking over.
it was absolutely terrifying. And then that year, they also probably had one of the best, if not the best, secondary in college football, where they had Witherspoon, Sidney Brown, guys that are playing on Sundays now. And that secondary definitely took a hit last year as they were rebounding from the losses of all those guys, but have definitely found their stride this year. I mean, they got a tandem in Miles Scott and Xavier Scott, who between the two of them combined for 5 picks, 4 pass breakups, 2 forced fumbles.
Phew.
So they're definitely two guys to look out for on the edges of the field for this wide receiver group.
Yeah, we know all too well about replacing NFL talent in the secondary, but yeah, the Scots are just balling out.
Hmm.
Xavier Scott mostly plays the nickel. He's the most targeted player on the team. He has 29 targets against him, 19 receptions allowed for 204 yards, 3 forced incompletions, 2 pass breakups, 3 interceptions, 3 touchdowns against him. So test him, but you know, you might get turned over. And as for Miles, He is obviously playing safety, so less targets, five, allowed two receptions, 20 yards. He has two interceptions, two pass breakups, and two forced incompletions. A 12.5 passer rating when thrown at.
Mm-hmm.
Watching the game Friday night, I also noticed uh Torrey Cox. He had a good game. He had an interception that game. He's the second most targeted player on the team with 18, only allowing 50% catches, nine for 120 yards. And like I said, has those two interceptions on the year, that one touchdown. The one guy I did notice who didn't play bad, um, but definitely didn't look like he fit the rest of the secondary. It was Caleb Patterson, number 22.
Mm-hmm.
He's their third most targeted player at 17, 12 catches allowed, 115 yards, zero touchdowns against them, zero pass breakups, zero forced completions, zero interceptions. So last week, I don't know about you, but when Julian Fleming called that ball over the middle, I stood up and cheered. Not gonna lie, I'm
Same.
embarrassing, but I did.
I was like a proud father.
It was, yeah, I mean, it was just a simple, strike, but it was beautiful. So I think he's an outside guy. So, you know, just building off of that confidence that hopefully that catch gave him, doing slants, deep crosses, short crosses, maybe some fades on Caleb Patterson with Fleming or whoever we have on the outside might be a difference maker in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of difference makers, who do you think is a matchup, offense, defense, that we have to win in order to beat the Fighting Illini?
Well, I gotta go with the guy who's got the recipe for success against the Fighting Illini, the Big Zamboni, who last year with the Kansas Jayhawks absolutely carved up this Illini defense, where the Kansas Jayhawks totaled up 539 yards,
Let's
had
go.
44 rush attempts for 262 yards, two tutties, averaged 6 yards per carry. This is a recipe for success, I believe, again this year, the way that this Penn State offense has been clicking, the way Drew Aller has been clicking, who, by the way, is averaging 12.6 yards per attempt this year with
There
a
we go.
218.3 passer rating, ranking second in all of FBS, just behind Ole Miss quarterback Jackson Dart.
There we go. Throwing the ball
So,
downfield. Finally.
so he's been clicking. The run game's been finding their stride. I think Kotelnicki's got the ins and outs to carve up this Illini defense yet again. And I think that is the matchup to watch, the matchup that will be exploited. And I see this Penn State offense having another big game at home, feeding off that crowd's energy in what everyone's been calling it whiteout energy.
Basically a second white. Okay, I love
Just
it.
call the damn game a whiteout. Just call it a whiteout.
I
We can
mean,
have two. It's
that's
okay.
what they're doing. Big
Yeah.
big whiteout energy. Come on.
That's getting too political. Just call it the whiteout.
I'm gonna go with possibly the biggest mismatch in the game. Their wide receivers, Pat Bryant and uh
Zakari.
Kari Franklin. Both very, very experienced corners against our very inexperienced group. So AJ Harris plays both sides of the ball. He'll most likely line up against Franklin. Again, transfer from UGA. We got another transfer from Florida, Jalen Kimber. He likes to play the left side, but he can also play both. So he might line up against Pat Bryant, depending on who's doing well against two. We got Cam Miller in the slot. We all know him. And then we all know Elliott Washington as one of their backups. So Dom DeLuca being out, oh, is pretty tough because he's really good in pass coverage. But I'm looking for Jalen Kimber and AJ Harris to stamp their name in Penn State lore finally. They haven't
Mhm.
allowed a touchdown in the year, either of them. They do have a pass breakup each and force a completion, but we only have three picks in the year. Yep,
Mhm.
that needs to go up. We need to get pressure, like I said, on that right side. Tom Allen's got to draw something up. And I'm hoping, I'm hoping to stop one of their drives with an interception that's Altmaier's just throwing up to Pat Bryant for a contested catch, and either Kimber or Harris comes down with it, or Elliott Washington, one of
Mhm.
the three. But that is going to be a huge, huge matchup because either one of those guys can be absolute game breakers and just completely ruin a beautiful Saturday night for the Nittany Lions.
Yeah, definitely looking for Harris to have a big game. I know he was actually sidelined. I think he may have gotten a few snaps against Kent State, but he was dealing with the stomach bug, stomach virus. So that's where you saw Elliott Washington get the start. So seems to be that he's been recovered from that. So yeah, would love to see a big game from Harris.
So Harris, when targeted, allows an NFL passer rating of 57.3. Jalen Kimber allows an NFL pass rating of 74. So both playing very well in their new roles with the Nittany
Mhm.
Lions. And as we conclude our Illinois preview, Dave, we've been on fire with our Iron Lions to watch. Who's yours for this week?
Nick Singleton, baby, averaging 8.5 yards per
That,
carry on the
that's a
year.
safe Iron Line to pick right there.
The safe. 8.5 yards per carry has proven to be a real threat in the receiving game as well. Again, proving the big Zambonis concepts to be working. Or just getting the playmakers the ball. 4 catches, 49 yards, 2 tutties on the year. As I mentioned, he had a lot of Kotelnicki, that is, had a lot of success against the Illini last year. I think he's got that same film and has some different wrinkles, different tweaks. He's got more weapons at his disposal this week, with the biggest being Nick Singleton. I'm expecting a big game from Nick Singleton under the big lights, in front of that whiteout energy crowd, and I think he's in for a big, big game.
Another thing that the commentators were saying on the Friday night game against Nebraska, that Illinois uses a lot of motion
Hmm.
their offense to, kind of expose gaps in the defensive line. So, like I said, Devon J. Thomas and Zane Durant need to be gap
Hmm.
sound.
Yep.
And against Illinois, Nebraska was running a lot of man, and Franklin and Bryant were just absolutely destroying them. Moved into a zone, kept him kind of under wraps, but Bryant's just he's so fast. You can
Mhm.
double team him, he can still be your safety deep. So my game plan for this is rush the ball. We talked about who's rushing totals. Did you mention?
For
Again,
Singleton or Kotelnicki?
no, against Illinois.
Yeah, last year, 262 yards, 2 tutties, 6 yards per carry. And that was
Yes.
with the Kansas offense.
Yes. Looking for a repeat of that from the big Zamboni. And it starts with the Hogs up front. Olavega, Nick Dawkins, JB Nelson, particularly Olavega, I own. He has 158 offensive snaps, 73 in pass block protection, zero pressures allowed, and zero sacks allowed this season. In fact, the last time he allowed a sack was against Maryland in week 10 of last year.
Mm.
So Vegaon playing out of his mind. We need those three to set the line of scrimmage. We need them to get at least 2 to 3 yard push every single time, set up the run game. That'll force that, you know, pretty solid secondary up.
Mhm.
And then hopefully we can be able to beat them deep with our speedsters, Amari Evans, Trey Wallace, maybe Julian Fleming with a little slant pass, Nick
Yeah.
Singleton on screen, Katron Allen. But it all starts with the guys up front. All starts with the trenches, as I'm obsessed with. All starts with Nick Dawkins, Ione, and Nelson Baby. So, how the turntables have turned in the Big Ten betting bonanza.
Mm,
We will go over last week's results and give our picks right after this.
can't wait.
It is week number 5 of the Big Ten betting bonanza. And I currently have the lead for the first time in the season. Claps for me. Claps for me. I had last week, sorry, Dave, Penn State minus 49. That hit 56 nothing cover. Illinois +8 on Friday. I think I mentioned in the last episode I was going to take the money line, but +8 was just too good of a number. That hit. And then I had LSU -24. Unfortunately, they got off to a slow start, 34-17. They did not win. 2-1 last week, +2 bonanza points on the season. Batting pretty poorly, 4 of 8. But I did hit a big money line or a +3 money line. So I have 6 bonanza points in the lead over to Dave, who's looking to catch that 1 point lead. He can easily do it in 1 week. He unfortunately had the no, we switched it to a push. It
Mm.
was 56.5, but like we said, we record these on Wednesdays, ended up at 56. We're gonna give him the push on that one. He did, however, lose Ohio State -40.
Hmm.
Marshall got off to a good start there.
Mm.
And then hit the Iowa Minnesota over 35, which some person on social media said was a crazy bet.
Iowa over, baby.
The Iowa overs are hitting this year. So week 4 for Dave, 1, 1, 1, +1 bonanza point. So on the year, that's 5, 6, and 1 with 5, right? Yeah, 5 bonanza points.
Rookie numbers.
Both of us rookie numbers, 6-5 after 4 weeks. That's pretty
Mm.
terrible. So on to week 5, better things to come. And look what I just so happen to have. The magical book of trust that got me 2-1 last week. I'll start things off. So Washington long road trip to Piscataway. This is their first true road game since November 18th of 2023 during their national championship run. They were at Oregon State, beat them 22-20. Since then, they've had 4 home games, 4 neutral games. Jed Fish, first year head coach, formerly at Arizona. This is his first true road game with this team. Very, very weird week for the Huskies. They have to go to Piscataway and then back to Seattle to face the Michigan Wolverines. So that's a huge look ahead spot for them. They really have not played anybody of substance on their schedule. So their stats are a little inflated. They do have a very, very solid defense. Rutgers last week, tough road win, 26-23 over Virginia Tech. They have a great defense with Graciano. It's basically Cleek Manis, the transfers, Cleek Manis, Minnesota versus Will Rogers of Mississippi State. They're very safe quarterbacks, not going to turn the ball over, but it's a Rutgers blackout. It's Greg Schiano against a guy in his first year with the program, first true road game. Give me Rutgers. This spread scared me. -2.5 at home. Little suspect, but I'm used to suspect spreads in college football. Give me the Scarlet Knights in the blackout game on Friday, -2.5.
Oh, you did end up stealing my pick.
Aha.
I love this game. This is a great Friday night game. You know what? Let's make it interesting. I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to go Huskies money line, baby. Will
Oh,
Rogers, Jed Fish, the Huskies. Yes, they got a long travel schedule here to then go back to Seattle, like you mentioned, to face the Wolverines. But they're
the
coming in that
big
blackout.
week for the Huskies.
They're bringing that purple wrath, and they're taking down Greg Schiano and the Scarlet Knights, ruining that perfect season bid. And the Huskies win this Big Ten matchup outright. Give me the Huskies
In the blackout. You
in
really
the
think this?
blackout.
So they are +110 currently.
Piscataway's not going to
Oh,
know what
wow.
hit
Okay. Rutgers moved to -2. We're going to rebound with my second pick.
him.
We are going Indiana, Maryland. Indiana might be my most surprising team of the year. I did not expect the Hoosier football team to put up over 50 points and over 500 offensive yards this year at all. I don't really think anyone did. Maryland currently has the second worst pass defense in the Big Ten, but their offense still has it. They're gaining over 450 yards per game, scoring just shy of 35. Again, schedule. Indiana's really played no one. Maryland's really played no one. However, the difference comes in the turnovers. The Hoosiers protect the ball very, very well with Cleek Manis. Billy Edwards also protects the ball well. Only 2 interceptions on the year. They're both throwing a 75% completion rate. I think this is just going to be offense on offense on offense. We all know Roman Hemby still at Maryland, but they have a trio of backs that can get the job done. And possibly one of the, rising up the draft boards, one of the top 20, top 15 receivers in the college football right now, Ty Felton.
Mhm.
Currently first in receptions, second in receiving yards with 641 receptions, by the way, 304 yards after the catch. That's first in the NCAA, and 13 missed tackles forced. That's first. So I think this is going to be an absolute shootout. Maryland's +7. And I made the mistake of taking a +18 last time and not taking the money line. I'm not doing it again. Give me Maryland money line
Oh,
+215.
going
Go
against Curtis Rourke, the Maple Missile.
going in to Hoosier Land and taking over the Terps, baby. And they're this is the kind of a do or die season for their head coach too. He needs to start off with a Big Ten win.
Yeah, Loxley needs it. Mike Loxley needs the lock.
Loxley lock 215. Hop on that.
All right. Well, I'm going to steer clear of another duel as much as I'd love to, but I'm going to go out west to Los Angeles. You got the mighty USC Trojans with a 3:30 p.m. CBS, Big Ten on CBS battle against the Wisconsin Badgers. Obviously, we know Wisconsin without Tyler Van Dyke for the rest of the year. Braden Locke trying to step in, fill those shoes. I think USC got them at 15 and a half. I think they cover this pretty easily. And I got the Trojans covering that one against Wisconsin.
Yep, 15. That's a weird spread. 15 and a half. Hopefully that's a 17-point win for you.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I think I'm gonna add that one to my card as well. Wisconsin's in shambles.
Mm.
All right, my last pick. The primetime game, 7 p.m. on Peacock. Ohio State versus Michigan State. Ohio State goes on the road for the first time. They've just faced basically cupcakes at home all season. Week 1, they were only up 17-3 at half against the Akron Zips. And then last week, as we said, they played Marshall, only up 21-14 at the half. So I don't trust it was +13 and a half. I don't trust that at all for a halftime spread. I think they're going to keep it close in the first quarter, hopefully score a touchdown in their first 2 drives and hold Ohio State to a field goal or something like that. But I'm going to go, this is wild bet. Michigan State first quarter spread at +6.5. We're
You
getting deep.
sicko.
We're getting deep, ladies and gentlemen.
You sicko.
Michigan State +6.5 first quarter. Let me just check that that's right. I'm almost positive it is. Because I saw 13 and I was like, they could rally and just absolutely get the doors blown off. Yep, +6.5. You can get it at +102. It's another plus in my bank. All right.
Mm.
I mean, it's only one bonanza point, but still
Still,
add money to the bankroll of the people if it
that's
hits.
right. All right, final pick. Got to go with it. Our beloved Lions. Primetime matchup. Whiteout energy against the Illini. I tend to align with the trend of whiteouts are low scoring. I know this is an 18-point spread. Would love for the Lions to cover that. I think there'll be good vibes heading into Big Ten play or continuing on into Big Ten play, rather. Got the over under here at 48. I'm going to go with the under here. I think Penn
Good play.
State's defense shows up big time. I think they're able to slow down Luke Altmaier. So like I said, I would love to see Penn State cover here. I think they definitely could, and I think they handle the under by also helping keep the Illini out of the end zone and off of the scoreboard. So I'm gonna go ahead and take the under in this one. It's just a
I
trend that feels right. Whiteouts, take the unders.
Yep, I was gonna do that as my third pick, but I decided to go wild card Michigan State
Mhm.
first quarter. Yeah, I do love that pick. 48. Yeah, both defenses are just rocking on all cylinders. I could see this
Mhm.
just being a classic Big Ten smash mouth football game.
Mhm.
What is your so minus 18 weird spread? I can see them winning by 17. So my prediction's gonna be I can't do math right now. 28-20. They don't
28
cover.
20.
They don't cover, but 28-20 hits the over under on the nose. Sorry. Another push.
I'm going with 28-17.
So they still okay. No, they still don't cover then.
Yeah, I don't think they cover. I would love it to be surprised and see us cover the 18-point spread, but
Yeah. I think we're gonna win by 17. I just can't do the math right now in my
yeah.
head of what it would be to anyway. We'll see what happens between the Nittany Lions and the Fighting Illini at 7:30 p.m. prime time on NBC. Cannot wait and also cannot thank you guys enough for all the support across everything we do. We absolutely love it. We just had a contest giveaway for Nick Singleton's total yards, announced our winner. He will get a free t-shirt and a hat that he requested from the Whiteout Weekly store. You can grab one for cash if you want to, or you can try to predict one of our questions right before the game. And that will be all from me. Thank you guys once again for letting us do what we love. We absolutely could not do this without you. Absolutely could not. So thank you once again. A little nervous here against Illinois. This is a big game, big freaking game heading into conference play, but let's go state.
Go Nits, baby. Shout out Mike Tomaselli for winning that merch, baby. More
Woo!
giveaways to come.
There we go, Mikey. Thank you guys.
Love you guys.